Hey YouTubers, diecast collectors. It is Monday, May 26th, Memorial Day, and since I have a lot of time, this will be a bonus video for you guys. This will be a video of two of the M2 machines, 50 years of Hemi cars. One is the Challenger, one's the Cuda. Before I get into the cars, a little background story for you guys. I promised I'd show this review to you, but first off, I did have to take these two back and I had to exchange them for these cars because first two I bought, I had some issues with them. I had a paint blister on the Challenger, and the hemicuda had, the doors were loose and floppy, so I exchanged the other two, and these are in pretty good condition, pretty pristine. So yeah, definitely had to get them exchanged because they were not great. Like I said, just goes to show, you know, you do get what you pay for. Sometimes you get what you pay for and then some, like with the case of the Swamp Rat dragster that I bought. And if you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you check that video out. That one's pretty cool. So, like I said, guys, I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to try and get into this review because it is going to take me a minute to do this. So I think, I don't know, what should I start off with? Let's start off with the Challenger. It's a cool car. Anyway, very nice exterior here. The stripes. You have the TA logo. Actually, this is the RT, sorry. You have the RT logo right here. Can't really see it. There's kind of a glare. But there's an RT logo. It says Challenger on the side here. A very nice paint. I like the, it's a speckle paint. It's like a white with some sparkle in it, which looks very good. Here's tail lights, or tail side markers, not tail lights, side markers. Very well done. Nice little gas tank right here. Very well. Very cool, very cool. Very well done. On the back here it says National 426 Hemi Day, 4th of 26, so that's April 26. Very cool. 50 years of Hemi, 1964 to 2014. It says Challenger script on the back with RT and a nice spoiler. It's pretty solid, pretty well glued in there. Very nice mirrors. And you can see the shaker scoop. It does say 426 Hemi on the sides of that, which that's a very nice little feature. Sculpted hood pins with separate pieces, very well done. They're not painted on there. There's front side markers painted in as usual, which is always cool to see. Very nice front end. Headlights as usual, they do have a peg in them, but that doesn't bother me too much because that's where the bulb would go anyway on these older cars. So you really can't, it's not too bad. There they are again. This one actually has the marker lights down below. One small issue I found, not too bad, you don't notice it, but the air dam is not exactly mounted on there. It's not mounted flush, but otherwise you cannot tell very much unless you're really looking at it. But if you look at it from this angle, you can kind of tell where it's off on one side. But other than that, it's not too bad. You can't tell. It's better than the old one with the paint chip, that's for sure. So yeah, very nice front end, very well done with the air dam. You can actually see all the way through to the radiator, which is a very nice little touch. Very nice separate door handles. And of course the mirror glasses in there, which I always like to see. And as usual, the chrome work is very nice. Tail lights are nice. Very nice Hemi license plate on there. Well done. Very good exhausts. I like the way they come out here. Although I do like the side pipes a little bit more, but it's still pretty cool to see the rear exit exhaust on these. But pretty cool. So yeah, alright, so now on to some of the finer points of this model that I will point out. Well, actually, one more small thing. This stripe on the side, they had a little bit of, it has a little bit of air somewhat applying it. You can't really tell too bad, but it's not so noticeable. Most of it is pretty good. There's just a small little thing. It's not terribly noticeable, but some of the stripe had a little bit of an error. Still some of M2's finer work. Definitely recommend casting to get as a Challenger. It is a good one to buy, full of some details, which I will show you right now. Hood opens. It holds its position up no problem, but it's not too bad. It holds up pretty good. It's not floppy. Definitely not the most solid hood, but definitely not the worst, so pretty good. I like how they got this shaker script on the inside of the hood scoop. Very well done there. That's a nice little touch, seeing that shaker on there. Very well done engine. Very nice little scoop. And we got the radiator here and the battery. And I actually did put some wiring in here. You can't really see it on camera. It doesn't show up. But there's like a wire. There's like some wire around the engine somewhat. Not ignition wiring, but there is a few wires around the engine. I think they're like fuel lines or something. But yeah, very well done. Good clean piece. Very well executed. There's even the water or tank right here. The battery is actually painted with the buttons and the silver things. And the contacts are painted on, and the little caps are on there. Very good. Good work. Some of M2's better engine work, I will say. Especially considering it's not a Shelby. This is probably some of their better engine work. You can see the triangular script right here. This triangular thing, I'm not sure what that is. There's a triangular insignia on the hood. I'll point out a few more exterior stuff. Forgot to mention the wheels. They are Goodyear polyglass tires with some dog dish hubcaps, which look pretty good. I like these stock wheels on here. Definitely proper for this car. Yep, very nice. So I'll show the interior. To me, I thought it was a little much, them doing it all in orange. I kind of would have preferred that maybe just paint the seats orange and make the floor black. Maybe make the dashboard black. I think the orange is a little too vibrant. I don't mind it. It's just I think they could have painted it black. So yeah, very good interior. Pretty good with the pistol grip shifter in there. Pretty accurate as far as most of it goes. Well, they only did paint the gauge cluster. I wish they had kind of given the dash a little more oomph to it. They could have painted a few more things, maybe some more details in there. And I think that only having the instrument cluster kind of makes it look barren, but I'm not sure how plain this was. Door closes pretty nicely, although it doesn't close as good as the other side, but it does hold its position open. It's not all floppity, which I do like to see. Again, the other side here, this door is a lot more solid. But you can see that they did paint the interior door switches in the windows, the window control knob and the other thing here. And they did paint some wood on the interior, which is pretty good. The steering wheel is actually wood grain. See, I wish they would have made the steering wheel black and just made the seats orange. That would have been a lot better. That's just my thought on it. Like I said, the dash is pretty plain. It's just the gauge is there, and that's almost it. That's almost the only thing that's really on the dashboard. Not the nicest M2 interior by far, but it's still pretty good. See how solid that closes, and that one's just kind of loose. But it opens and closes pretty well, no problem. Now the trunk's a bit hard to open because I'm going to try to get this open. There we are. Alright, there, I got the trunk open. Now the trunk, as usual, does not have anything in it. I like to show it anyway just to highlight it, but at least they include an opening trunk. I like to see that. Very nice. Very well done. Well represented. And actually, a good thing about it is once you close it, it goes here, and then it snaps shut, which is a pretty nice little solid touch on this car. The trunk closes pretty well. One other issue I had with the hood here, there's like a small little bump right here where it was formed. I guess it's where the piece was formed. Don't notice it too well. I wouldn't try and bend it back, but it's kind of noticeable there. And as with the other side too. But it's not too bad. Move on to the underside now. Oh, I forgot to mention the steering. As far as steering goes on these, this is pretty solid. Pretty solid, well done steering. And it does steer with this wheel. Pretty good. Okay, so here we go, on underside here. Very well done. I like the separate exhaust, and I like that this is actually fully appointed, just goes all the way out, just like an exhaust should. It doesn't have that separate weird feel to it. It's all one singular piece, which I like to see that. Definitely some of M2's nicer work. First Challenger I've reviewed on camera, so very glad to show this. Wheels on the back, these are some of the more solid wheels, and I remember the other example that I had bought of this with the chip paint, the wheels were a lot more floppy. So this is definitely a little more solid. Wheels on the fronts, maybe a little floppy, not too bad. I wish their quality was more consistent with M2 124 scale. They need to get better quality control for sure. But then again, I guess you do get what you pay for, and sometimes still I like M2 machines. They are pretty decent models. But these tires do spin pretty nicely in the back here. Very nice under bracing. They actually did do a good job with most of the steering components, the componentry up here, which there's a lot of nice little pieces of plastic. They didn't just make it all one solid belly pan. They actually did mold it pretty well. So I'm pretty glad that they did that. Pretty good undercarriage as far as most of them are concerned. And oh, I forgot to mention on the front it does say Mopar, which that's pretty cool. And it's got the, I like that little logo that they put on top of there. That's pretty cool. 50 years of Hemi, 1964 to 2014. Very cool. Now, since I've already spent a bunch of time on that, and I've only got 26 minutes, and I'd like to make this video under 26, gonna move on to this CUDA. I think I've spent long enough on that one. CUDA, again, it's nice. It's pretty good. Although I don't think the CUDA is some of M2's better work. They do pretty good on most of this. There's a few points that are negative. There's a few points that are positive, as with most of these M2s. But these are mostly pretty good, in my opinion. And I will definitely keep them. So anyway, let's move on to the front here. Very nicely done front end. I don't know how I feel about having the white cheese grater grills. I kind of wish they had just left those black. That's my one small point I want to bring up. I wish they just left these black. I don't know about leaving them white. That's alright, but I guess it kind of matches and it breaks it up a bit. Keeps it from being too boring. But I don't know if it was accurate to have the body color or not. Most Mopar fans might want to correct me. I'm not sure if they should have been black or white or not. But as far as the headlights go, you really don't see the peg in these, which I'd love that. You can't tell there's a peg there. I can at least. So the headlights are some of their better work. Fog lights are chrome, which I would have liked to have seen a jeweled light in there. These are chrome. I'm not sure what these little accent pieces are right there, but they're chrome, and that's all they pretty much are. Or they're like a silver chrome. I'm not sure, but the front end, this is plastic, and the rest of it around it is metal. This is just a separate, oh, it's a separate metal piece, I think. So that's pretty well done. The gills on the side here, I looked up, I was watching Graveyard Cars, and I watched the Phantasm CUDA, and they are supposed to have 4 gills. I thought it was 3, but it's 4. So I was watching that episode of Graveyard Cars, and it does turn out that the CUDA had 4 gills on it. I'm not sure if that was changed or not. I'm not exactly sure on that either. Don't know. Very nice marker lights. Well done. Like I said, guys, you're going to have to excuse me. I do have a bit of a cold. Hemi. Door handles are separate pieces. And you have the side marker lights on here, which are pretty well done. And the billboard goes all the way down here, which the rest of this is white, that's the way it's supposed to be, I'm sure, because that kind of lines up with that bit right there. Again, dog dish hubcaps. I won't forget the wheels with a Goodyear script. These rear ones are a bit wobbly, but they're certainly not as wobbly as the other Cuda that I had that had the door issue. These are a little more solid. Still a little wobbly, but not too bad. Which it's a common issue on M2. I don't really knock them too much for that, but it's a common M2 machine issue that I've had. Mopar script again, same thing with the Challenger, but I like it. Another thing I like is the interior is black, but I'll move on to that in a minute. Mopar script there. I'll turn this so you can see the other Hemi logo. 50 years of Hemi, 1964 to 2014. And then on the rear we see National Hemi Day, 4/26, and it says 4th of 26. Which that's carried on again with this piece, same as the Challenger. And I will mention one point. I'm sure that M2 is going to try and get as much money out of this as they can. I'm sure that they're going to wind up releasing some of these in the 1/64 scale. I'm sure they'll probably do like the Belvedere or the Daytona or maybe the Coronet or something like that, because that's just marketing. So, hood pins are done too, which I like to see. And these are separate right here, as is with the Challenger. But like I said, pretty well done pieces. Weirdly enough, I just noticed there are no windshield wipers on these. The only evidence of windshield wipers I saw in the Challenger was that they were painted in. However, there are no windshield wipers on the Cuda, which is kind of unusual. I'll have to look that up. I'm not exactly sure if they missed them or what. Or that the hood's just too tight for them to put them in there, because I think that they would wind up just falling off of there if they did it that way. But there's no windshield wipers, which, I don't know, that kind of bugs me a little bit, because I know that Cuda's had some wipers on them, but all cars do, so I don't know exactly why they didn't include them on this. That might have been a factory error, I can't tell. It's kind of weird. Okay, so speaking of that, I'll get on to the inside. You can't really tell too much with the engine because it's pretty much just all air cleaner. That's pretty much all it is. With the heads right there, they are painted with the silver ignition points on them. There is no wiring, but they are painted. The battery caps are painted on this. However, the leads aren't. With the Challenger, the leads are painted silver, and I kind of wish they'd done the leads on there, but they didn't. There's an alternator. There's probably a belt assembly up in there. You cannot really see it. Again, this is not an engine that shows really well for the camera. The Challenger was, because the air cleaner seems like it was smaller, but this air cleaner is huge on the Cuda. You can't really see it, but they do put shaker underneath the hood, which is a pretty nice touch. So that is a likable thing, and they do make it like a two-piece shell with the black on the outside, which I like to see. The hood will probably close all the way. I just don't want to force it down. And even if I do close it, it'll be impossible to get back open, which is why I just leave it shut like this so I can get my finger underneath it and open it. So I don't like to shut it all the way, because it will shut all the way. I had another one and it went closed and I couldn't get it open because the gap there is so tight. Anyway, so like I said, moving on to the interior now. Interior is well done. This is what I like to see on an M2. If you know, it definitely looks better black. Like I said, wish they'd done the Challenger interior in black just like this one. The orange seats, it definitely is a nice touch. It looks good. It has some contrast and it breaks it up, and it looks a lot better. So like I said, door panels are pretty nice. They have nice silver accents in them, and they got the window switches. And they actually do, you cannot see it, but they do put Cuda on the inside of the panel, which is another good touch to see. This is the Cuda is some of their good work, but there's one negative point that I'm about to bring up here in a second that you guys will see. Again, other door opens, and we have a steering wheel. Now the steering wheel is the issue that I want to bring up, that I've always had this with Cudas. It doesn't matter which one I buy. I have had 3 of these Cudas. I had an old one and I'm getting ready to get rid of it because it's not my cup of tea anymore, but I have an old M2 Cuda that I'm getting ready to get rid of at the flea market. issue I want to bring up is the steering. Now when you steer it, the steering wheel doesn't turn, it moves side to side like a airplane control stick, which I absolutely hate that. And I've tried everything with the steering. I moved the rod around, I've done everything I can, yet the wheel just sashays back and forth. I don't know what that is. I wish they would fix that, but that's just with every CUDA that I've had, it does that, and it bugs the snot out of me. Like I said, just that's the one thing I hate. I forgot to mention, as on the Challenger, I think it did have pedals on it. Let me see. Yeah, the Challenger also had has pedals on it, which you can see right there. But anyway, like I said, the CUDA also has the pedals in the appropriate spots. There are 3 pedals underneath that dashboard. You cannot really see them, but the Challenger you can see them pretty well. Center console is painted with some wood detailing, which I do like to see. I'm not sure if it's a decal or not, but it's painted with some wood detailing in there. And the doors are pretty solid. This is pretty good compared to what most CUDAs are, where their doors are all floppity. Make sure, like I said guys, doesn't matter if you buy a $200 model or a $20 model, you always want to make sure you know what you're getting from the factory. Defects can happen, so just a point of advice I want to bring up with you guys. I was with the parachute that I had to get fixed on my Don Garlitz dragster. It can happen with pretty much anything, as I've had to exchange these already. So like I said, people, be careful what you buy. This door opens pretty good too, so that stays shut pretty solid. Alright, I'll move on to the underside, which this I like a lot better than the Twister Mustang. Now it is a painted on exhaust, which doesn't bug me too much. I mean, the detail is there, at least they painted in. And the drive shaft, I believe it's a separate piece. Yeah, there's a separate drive shaft, which that's pretty cool. At least I don't think it's painted on. It might be, but I can't tell too bad. I wish they would have made the exhaust a separate piece still. I painted on exhaust is okay, but when it's a 1/24 scale, I like to see a separate exhaust. I don't like them just doing a header and then just deciding to paint it. I think that's kind of just a way of just saving time, and that's it. I don't really like that, but this doesn't bug me as much as as like the Twister, where it just runs into the bar and then it just goes into the exhaust, where it looks like it's 2 pieces. That doesn't bug me a whole lot. At least they tried to line it up and make it look good. But that's that one point I'm bringing up, is it's definitely not, it's one of the alright undercarriages. It's definitely not one of the best I've seen, but they still did a pretty good job. But the gas tank is painted silver in the back. Those wonderful looking rear exit exhausts that blend right into the bumper. Forgot to mention the rear tail looks really good too. And like I said, front wheel steer, they're not so solid, and these are definitely more floppity than what I have seen on some of their other stuff. Their steering could be more solid in the front here, and they could have probably done a better job. But alright. Like I said, taillights look pretty good. Again, forgot to mention the trunk, which this is very difficult to do with just my 2 hands moving around the tripod. Trunk is there again, but there's nothing in it. Would have liked to have seen like a plaid print on here, but they don't really do that. So like I said, closes nice. The spoiler is a little loose, but that's not something that gets played with a whole lot. So as long as you don't try to open the trunk by the spoiler, I'm sure you'll be good. Bumper is a little loose in the back, but still it's not too bad. Alright, so I'm done reviewing these now. So guys, I'm sure you're wondering about my rating of these cars. Well, I'm going to say I probably rate the Challenger a bit higher, just because I think it's a little nice. Well, I think I'd rate them both the same. The Challenger has some of its minor things with it. CUDA does too. I'd say I give the Challenger a 9, and I would say I give the CUDA maybe an 8.5 out of 10. One reason I say the CUDA is a lower score, because they got that steering issue, which frankly I think M2 needs to fix. It's been years that they've been making this model. They need to do something about that steering wheel that moves back and forth like a control stick. I absolutely hate that. So I definitely get the Challenger a higher rating. The Challenger is highly recommended if you buy an M2 machine. Challenger is some of their nicer work. Considering that's not a Shelby version that M2 does, which the Shelbys are always nicer. Definitely buy the Challenger. The CUDA, you might want to think about it. Might want to be careful what you're buying, just to point out some advice especially. So, like I said, guys, I don't have a whole lot longer here, so I need to hurry this up and get it over with. Make sure you comment, guys, because I'm going to be doing one more video on Friday, and then after that video the shoutouts will be coming. So if you do not comment, you will not get mentioned, you will not get a shoutout. I'm sorry, that's the way it goes. So make sure you are putting comments on there, type something, watch the videos. Make sure you do that, guys. I'm trying to get people to subscribe and comment, so subscribing is not enough. You got to comment too. Other than that, thank you for coming by. Again, if you saw this video, check it out. Check out my swamp rat today. This is just a bonus video for you guys. I'm Jared White, the JMant63. See you later, guys. Bye.